My name is Laurie Ruhlin, and I will be talking to you today about images. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so that is one little topic. So let's move on to our topic about images. We all place images, don't we? Okay, file place. We all know the shortcut is Command or Control D, exactly. That shortcut, we have that ingrained in our brains. So what I want to do here is to talk a little bit about some really cool shortcuts that you can use after you have placed those images. So the first thing I want to do is to place an image. So I'm going to go to File, Place, Command or Control D, and I'm just going to pop down here to my folder and pick a picture. Okay, if anybody has been with me, you know I have Black Lab Kona, and I have a picture loaded up in my cursor. Okay, we all know that you can just click once. If I click once, that picture places on the screen as big as the picture is. I'm going to undo that. The other thing we can do is to click and hold and drag, but you notice that it does constrain the size of that picture. So, again, release, and it is going to place that in with no extra space around the edges. Undo. Here's a cool shortcut. The shortcut is, if I hold down my Shift key, I can override the constraints of the size of that picture. What if I wanted a box that goes really thin across the top of my screen? We've done that before. You make a big box, then you have to resize it. No, I can hold down my Shift key and make any size of the frame that I want to. So with that Shift key held down, I can make the size, and then I can use some of these shortcuts that I have listed on the right-hand side. Okay? So who's new to that Shift shortcut? I'm always interested. A lot of you guys knew that? Okay, it's about half and half. I'm just always interested to see what shortcuts people know and what they don't. Because it's not documented anywhere that I have found. People throw it out as a cool tip. Anyway, so we've placed that picture in and we've used the Shift key to make a different sized frame that we want to. And now we're going to use Object Menu Fitting. And here's the command here, Object Menu Fitting. And then I have 5 commands here that I'm going to go through. Now, these commands, I do have the shortcuts written out for you. These commands are as follows. Fill frame proportionally is going to fill the frame completely, and the picture will stay proportionate. I will undo. We also have fill or fit content proportionally, where that's already what it's been doing because it will fit and show you the entire picture. Then we have the fit frame to content. The shortcut, we know that, you guys have done this one before, but what I want to show you here is the double click on a handle. So I can come over here to any one of these handles and double click, and when I double click, it's going to suck that handle, those picture box, to the size of the picture, okay? I can also fit the content to the frame, and all these shortcuts, by the way, are up at the top of the screen in this little screenshot at the top, which I can't see. And actually, I'm going to do this. This is a good thing for you to do. Some of you do have to work on a laptop. I'm going to flip down here to Customize, and I'm going to turn off corner shapes. I don't use these as much up at the top, and this one I don't use. And by doing that, I'm going to show, my screen is really squished here, show a couple of these, flip and rotate. We'll say I don't use those more. Come on. But that's how you get rid of those buttons, so you can see more of the buttons up at the top. Can I get rid of anything else? Effects. Okay, I'll take off effects. There we go. Those are the buttons that I'm looking for right across the top. And so here we have the fit the content to the frame. We don't ever use this one. And then we have the center content. Okay, so this brings me to another thing that I like to talk about with pictures, and that is that little circle in the middle. So I'm going to fill the frame proportionally, and you know the little circle in the middle? Do we hate that or love it? I hate it. I like to turn this thing off. I have a lot of pictures, they're layering over the top of each other. I move too fast, and so things are moving, and then I move pictures. So we're going to turn this little guy off. You can see that mine is already off here from the last time that I was using this. And if you look somewhere in here, it's in here. I know it is. Hide content grabber, right next to the picture of the puppy. I should be looking for that. So right next to the picture of the puppy here on page 5, which there are page numbers on here. Did they print? Yeah, they did print. Okay, good, because mine did not on my own printer at home. Okay, so we are going to choose the View menu, Extras, and Show or Hide the Content Grabber. When I found this, I was like, yes. Yeah, well, you don't have to delete it, because what's nice is when you're showing it, you see how when you move this thing over and you grab it by mistake. Okay, I just don't like it. So we're going to go to View, Extras, and Hide the Content Grabber. Now, how do I move stuff in between? Double click. So by double clicking, I can now move the photo around. I can resize the photo. See the brown border on the outside? When I hold my Shift key down and resize, you can see that I can resize, I can reposition. When I'm done, I double click and I go back to selecting the actual frame itself. Okay, so hide the content grabber and then use a double click, and that will allow you to go back and forth between your two pictures. All right, so another thing that I like to show, which I've probably shown this before, but it is worth re-saying, is Gridify. Let's use this thing. Gridify, one of my favorite things. Gridify is where you can place multiple pictures, graphics, logos, even text blocks, and put them all on your screen at the same time in a grid. Let me show you what I'm talking about. File Place, this is also at the bottom of the page that we were just on. So I'm going to File Place, and I'm just going to pick these 4 pictures here and click Open. And when I click and hold and drag, I'm just going to place the first picture. Now, if I wanted to do all 4 pictures in a nice grid of 4, I'm going to hit, my mouse is still held down. That's important. My mouse is still held down. I'm going to hit on my keyboard my up arrow key and my right arrow key. And those two are going to break this into a grid. And now when I release, all of those pictures get placed in that grid. I do have to know how many pictures I have loaded, just because I need to get the grid about that number of pages. And then, or number of objects. And then I'm going to choose Fill the Frame Proportionally, Command Option Shift C, and all those pictures will be fit proportionally into that spot. Now, this spacing in between those pictures can be controlled. I'm going to hit delete here and File Place. I'm going to load these up again. They can be controlled. This is kind of like chewing gum and all that stuff at the same time. Lots of little things to know. But I'm going to click up arrow, right arrow. Here's the next shortcuts that you can hit. I don't have these on here, I don't think. If your mouse is still held down, see that? It's still held down. I can hit the page up or page down keys on my keyboard. I'm on a laptop. I don't have those. So because I don't have those, I also can hold down Command and up arrow key. That's a bug. Command up arrow key, and that will increase the spacing in between, and the Command right arrow key, Control for PC, and you see how that is controlling the spacing on the outsides. Okay? So it's either page up or page down, or you have to do them one at a time, and it's Command up, down, left, or right arrow keys. And now I can place those and fill those frames proportionally. Okay, so here's a new thing that I want to show you. Flip to the next page. Top is Live Distribute. So I've placed these pictures in here, and now I look at them and go, yeah, I don't like that space. It's too big. There's too much spacing in between. So again, this is kind of one of those, got to do it in the right order. If I hold, they're all 4 selected. If I hold down my mouse on this one here, and I hold nothing down, and I resize, that will resize all the frames. And then if I wanted to, I could, all 3 keys, and fill frame proportionally. That's not what I wanted to show you, but that's what can be done. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to hold nothing down, make these bigger, and all 3 keys, and C for fill the frame proportionally. Here's what I want to show you. To adjust the spacing in between using a Live Distribute, I'm going to click and hold, then add in my space bar to adjust the spacing. And you see how I'm able to move those pictures closer. I'll do the same thing, holding nothing down. I click and hold, wait for a second, because I do want to see it interactively. Now I'm going to hold down the space bar to adjust the spacing, and I can adjust the spacing in between. Yeah, I liked that one. I recently learned that. So now you know too. So that is called Live Distribute. All right, another thing we can do is we can apply the same transformation to something. here's the scenario. Somebody gives you a file and all the pictures are just slightly different. We can see that, can't we? Okay, I'm in a room of a lot of people that can see spaces and sizes that are a little bit different from each other. These are obviously different from each other, but a lot of times I've been tasked with, hey, can you go make sure that all 50 of my pictures are exactly 2 by 3? Yep, click, 2, tab 3, return. Click, 2, tab 3, return. Have you guys been there with me? So what we're going to do is we're going to make a change to one of these pictures and then do a repeat the transformation with a shortcut. Okay? So apply the same transformation or the size to a photo. There's 2 different ways to do this. So we're going to make a size change in the width and the height. I'm actually reading this to make sure that it's the same. And then apply a fitting command. I tested this the other day. I think you have to use the shortcut. So you might want to write this down because I was testing this out the other day. It says make a size change in the width and height and use a fitting command if desired. Write down use shortcut because I tried it using the menu and it didn't hold. So I think you have to use the shortcut. This then is a saved sequence of tasks that you want to apply that you have applied to the selected object. And now we're going to choose another object, and there's the command that we're going to reapply that same command. Okay, confused you completely? Let me show you. I'm selecting my picture, and I'm looking at the picture. It's 2.9 by 1.9, so let's make it, I'm going to click on W. I'm going to make it 3.5, so I'm going to type in 3.5 tab 2.5, 2.5 return. And now I'm going to hit the shortcut to fill the frame proportionally. Okay, all those things that I just did are now saved in InDesign's memory. And now I can click on another image and choose Object Menu, Transform Again, transform the sequence of events that I just did, and you've remembered again. See that? Okay, that has saved me a lot of time as well. So now I'm going to go back to my picture and do it again. And this time I'm going to be conscious of the shortcut, which is Command Option 4. And I'll do that there. Okay, great. And I'll choose this one, Command Option 4, boom, and it does it to every single one of those.
Could you select all of them at the same time?
Yes, you can. Why would you ever want to do that? Okay, so we're going to do it again. We're going to click here and we're going to go up to the width and we're going to type in 3.5, tab 2.5, return, all 3 keys, that. And I had to do it again because it remembers the very last thing that you did. The last thing that I did was undo, so it would have remembered that. And big thing here, don't click on the daisies and move it because that's now the last thing that it will remember. So I've gotten into that. I'm like, why didn't it work? The last thing that I've done. Okay, next I'm going to click on this one, Shift, click, click. I've got all 3 selected, and now I'll choose the Object Menu, Transform Again, and do the sequence again, but do it individually. When I release, boom, everything has been changed to 2.5, whatever I did. Okay. So I found this a few years ago, and I have used those in every project now, because I need to make my stuff consistent. Okay, so love that shortcut. All right, a couple other things. Oh, and then I could use the alignment command. I think I've done this one before. Let me do it real quick here. I'll select this, go to alignment, and my favorite part of the alignment panel is the bottom one, and it's the distribute spacing. So I can type in a spacing value here, and I can say I want you to be a specific distance away from each other. So I'll go in here, I'll select these 2. Here's my second favorite thing about the alignment panel. I want the daisy picture to stay. If I align these to the left edges, the daisy picture is going to move down to this yellow one, right? But if I click on the daisy, click on it again, see that little box there that says you're king, you're the one that stays, everybody revolves around you, and then I can choose this and it moves. The daisy picture stays. And then I'll click this button here and it'll be exactly 0.3 away. Okay, so let me do that one more time. I'm going to pull this way down here. If I wanted the red flower to align to the right edges of the pink flower, I have to click the pink flower to say you're king, you don't move, everybody revolves around you. And then I'll hit the right arrow key or right alignment here, and then the alignment for right here. And that is going to align everything with a spacing of 0.3 away from each one of those images. Cool. All right. Another thing that we can do is to place images into a table. Anybody use tables? We love tables. Anybody have parts and objects and pictures and things that need to go? Here's what you get in your kit. You get 18 screws and 18 this. So you can put pictures inside of a table. So I have just a random table here that has an opening for my pictures, and with nothing selected, and this is, I think it's towards the beginning of my picture stuff. Yeah, it's at the bottom of page 3. Totally not going in order, but that's okay. Bottom of page 3 to put photos into a table cell. So everything is deselected. I have my selection tool, and if I choose File, Place, and I go pick up some pictures of some flowers, and these pictures do not have anything to do with the table, so don't get me on that. So I've got 4 pictures loaded up, and all I need to do is to click on one cell at a time, and those pictures are just going to fit and fill frame proportionally inside of that table cell. If I did need to focus better onto the B here, I could click and double click, and there I have my little brown border, resize, and there I can change the size of the picture. So it's a lot easier than it used to be. Just have nothing selected and then load them up and place. Okay, so that's placing pictures into a table. All right, another thing that I like to show with these images is how to use some color from your images. So I am going to just make a brand new page here, go to File, Place, and pick a picture of the butterfly. So let's say that I would like to design a brochure or a document that has the colorings of this butterfly. I can go here to this tool. This is a relatively new tool. It's been here a few years, but the tool is called the Color Theme tool. The Color Theme tool allows me to just click on a picture, and when I click on that picture, I get a little sliver here, a little panel. Come on, should be able to be moved. There it is. And that little picture of the panel, colors have been loaded up into this little panel. Now, if I like these colors, great. If not, I can go in and hold down my Option key and make a box around another area of the picture. So if I really wanted just these picture colors of the picture, I could just hold the Option Alt key and make a box around them. So I like these, I'll do that, and I'll see a different number of types of colors. I can also hold the Shift key down if I just want that color. I should be able to. Come on. I may have to reset this. Hold on. I'm going to go back here, select, get my Color Theme tool. There it goes. So I've clicked, and then I get the actual color in the middle that I was clicking on, and then variations lighter and darker of that color. So let me try it again here on this color. It's interesting. It's not working. I must have to reset it. I've got to start over again, select it, and get the Color Theme tool, hold down that Shift key, and click. There it goes. So it looks like it does have to be reset, but you can see that I can pick up one color and see some variations of those colors. Now, once I have those colors picked up, let me see if I can get the brighter colors back of the whole thing. If I look in my swatches panel, you will see that if I go to the right side and click on this button here to add the theme to the swatches panel, look at the bottom of the swatches panel, that colorful theme is going to automatically be added into my swatches. Now, a cool trick here is if I double click on the actual tool itself, the Color Theme tool, I can choose to bring these colors in as CMYK or as RGB, or the top one here is convert as per document intent. So if you know you want to bring these in as RGB, you can say RGB or CMYK or whatever document intent that you have. Okay. All right, so that is the Color Theme tool with images. All right, so let's move on here, and I want to talk about borders and shading. So borders and shading, you guys use tables? I love tables. I've always loved tables. They're great. But recently I have come to find that tables sometimes don't do everything that I want them to do. So we've started to play around a little bit more with the borders and the shading, more of the shading command. And I love it. So I want to show you how you can set up something like this using borders and shading. And what I like about it is that you've got paragraph styles that you can apply. Okay? Tables are great. But sometimes with a table, if you've got like that InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop section, I would have to make that into a cell style and have to have a paragraph style, and it's just not easy to do. So we're going to set this up on the right-hand side, make it look similar to what you see here. So I'll go in here, zoom in a bit closer, and I'm going to start here with Illustrator. So I'm just going to select this. I'm using the shortcut of Command-Shift and then the greater than to make that larger. I'll also go in here to just go to Myriad Pro, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of spacing above and a little spacing below, just so I have some room to work. So I've got my text now selected. I do not have it the whole thing selected, just have a cursor blinking into it. Up at the top of the screen, you'll see that you've got two commands. One's for shading, one is for borders. So I'm going to do shading first. So I'll have to turn it on. Once I turn it on, I can then choose the color that I want it to be on the right-hand side. But this little box, remember what I told you at the very beginning? I said there's an option that you can click to get the options, and actually they're finally adding some of these tooltips in here. It'll tell you what to do. Hold down the option key and click on that little icon there, and that is going to bring up the borders and shading dialog box, which is so big. Let me do that again. If I go over here to the magic menu and choose borders and shading, this is the other place that I can get borders and shading. So either option click or choose it from down here. Still, it's so big. So the top of it has two sections. I've got the border section and I have the shading section, which, yeah, now I see why it's so big, but still too big. So here's the shading section. At the top, I have the ability to turn it on and off. And can I see anything? Ooh, I can see it a little bit over there. See it? I can choose the color. I can also choose the tint. So there we can see the tint going on and off. I can choose to overprint it with the printers around here. Don't overprint unless you know what you're doing. Then we've got corner size and shape. And this is one of those things that people have been yelling and screaming for, is rounded corners. So if I choose rounded for all of these, I'll just make it a little bit more round so it's a little bit more obvious. Finally, we have the ability to get a rounded corner look on a table. How many of us have tried to put stuff into the table and round the corners and embed it inside of another box? Yuck. So finally, we can now do these rounded corners. Then we've got offsets. Now this, I really do want to see this. So close. Yeah, okay. So here I've got top offsets, and you can see that if I chose one of them, because I've got this little chain link chosen at the bottom here, they're all changing together. But I can bring that down, and I can customize by unclicking this little chain link, and I can customize it and say I want a top or a left or a bottom offset in different values. Okay, so I can really customize how far over to the right or to the left that I want that border to extend. Okay, so I want a little bit less here on the bottom. And then I've got some other options here I'm not going to bother talking about here. But I also have this clip to frame, which here, ooh, there I can see it. Clip to frame, and you see that it will not extend past the frame if I tell it not to. And do not print or export. I've actually started to use this a little bit to highlight something on my InDesign document for somebody else to look at. You know, I've got a paragraph style there. I'll just turn it on to say, hey, this is pinked. You go look at this, okay, and adjust the text. So, but then if it doesn't print or export, not that I say that, if you can't export it as a PDF, sometimes, anyway, forget it. Okay, so there's a setting for the borders, and I'm just going to bring this down to make it look back to the square, and I will click OK. Now, I'm going to select this and also indent it from the left side, so I bring it in, and I'll also give it a color here of white or paper. Now, I'm going to make a paragraph style. Paragraph style, I'm in a magic menu and new paragraph style. I'm just going to put the letter X in the front of this name here, and I'm just going to call this X program and click OK. So now when I go up here to the InDesign word and click X program, you'll see that I can apply my style to each one of these very quickly. So it kind of looks like it's starting to look a lot like a table without the hassle of a table. Let me continue with the rest of this. So now I'll select this text here. I'm going to pull that in and see how far to the right I can make this so I can fit that big window. Okay, so I've got some of this selected, and again I'm just going to choose my Myriad Pro, lovely font here, condensed, make it a little bit more for the leading. Okay, next I'm going to turn on my borders, shading, turn on the shading, and then I'll just leave the color here and option click on those options, and now I can change the color to my Illustrator color, and I'll bring the tint down here quite a bit less, and then I'll just increase the offsets, make it a little bit bigger. But this time I do want to leave a little bit of white space in here, and that's going to give it the look of a table. So it's not really a table, but it kind of looks like a table because I have these little white gaps where there's no color in it. And we'll say that that looks great. I'll click OK, and then again I'll go over here to my paragraph styles, magic menu, new paragraph style, X, features, hit return, and now when I select all the rest of these, I can go and apply using a paragraph style instead of using a table. And now if I wanted to make the change for the color, I just simply click on all these InDesign options and drop it down and choose the actual InDesign color, and everything changes. Okay? So I have started to use the borders a little bit more than I find that I use tables, and I kind of like it. Okay? The reason why this came up is because I was asked to do a timeline, and I thought, well, wait a minute, how am I going to get, I don't know why that's not showing up. I don't know why that color's not showing up. All right, we're going to go to another section here. There we go. There we go. So I was trying to figure out how to make a nested style and put it inside of here, and I started with a table. Like, this is just not working. I couldn't get the settings to work correctly, and so I decided to, and he kept adding and taking away different features, and I'm like, there's too many headings in this table, so I switched over to the borders and shading. I was like, okay, that's a lot better, a little bit easier. Cool. All right, let's continue. And I've got books and table of contents. So I'm going to close this document. I'm going to close all of these. So if you have questions, it's totally fine. I'm just going to close them though. Come back to them. Okay, so books. A lot of people think about a book in InDesign as, oh, I don't do big, huge, long documents. I'll never use the book. There's a couple reasons that you might want to use the book feature in InDesign. First of all, what is it? The book feature allows you to add multiple InDesign documents into a little container, okay? The book document, new book. You create a book by going to File, New Book. And then you're going to just name it. I'm just going to toss it on the desktop. Book 1 is totally fine. Clicking OK, replace it, sure. Okay. So then what you get is a panel. Really what this is, it's a container. And this container is going to hold onto InDesign documents that are on your hard drive. Okay? Here's the cool thing about a book. The book can contain a document, say that differently. A book can contain a document that is in multiple other books. So let's say that you have an introductory 3 or 4 or 5 pages, welcome to my company, here's what we are. And that one document is used at the beginning of 15 different catalogs that Ripon, of course, is printing for you. Okay? So that introductory InDesign document, you've done this before where you put it into book number 1 and then you make some edits, and now you're like, oh, now I got to put it into book number 2, but oh, I made edits in 1, so now I got to go to 2. You following my problem solving skills here? Is how do I make sure that the same edits stay in that document? So what I do is I use a book, and I make one document on my hard drive that's introduction to my company, And then I make all the changes there. And then what I'm going to show you now is we're going to take that introductory document and bring it into the book file and then add in the chapters for book number 1. Then I'm going to use the same exact document and bring it into book number 2. That's the introductory document. And then bring in the chapters for book number 2. Okay? So now when the company name changes, we add ink or whatever at the end of it, you go into one InDesign document called Introduction to My Company, make the changes there, and then every time you open up book number 1, book number 2, book number 3, that InDesign documents go, hey, I changed, and it's going to change in all of the different books. The concept here is that you have one Introductory to My Company document, okay? Not 18 of them floating around, which we all have, right? Okay, so here's how we create the book. First of all, I'm going to go to make a book, and in the magic menu here, add document, or there's a little plus down at the bottom, but I'll just choose add document. And I have 3 chapters here that I have loaded up for you. Just going to select all 3 of them. I could do as many as I want to. I've got a book that is a 300 almost page catalog, and every, the tabs on the side, here's this kind of part, this kind of part. I've got, I think, 15 different InDesign documents in this book file. So it can contain a ton of them. And now, did I set this up right? Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna dump these out because I want to show you. I'm gonna dump these out real quick. I'm gonna open up these documents instead of bringing them right into the book because I want you to see something. All right, and their files are missing. Don't worry about it. He would worry about it, but I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay. Because I brought it into the book, I messed up something. Close your eyes. As I was talking, I'm like, I shouldn't bring this thing in here because I'm messing something up. Okay, now you can open your eyes back again. Okay, so I have a 3 chapters, okay? On chapter number 1, what I'd like to do is to change the page numbering so that I've got III, and then it's a 5-page document, so then the last 2 pages, I want that to be 1 and 2. So I'm going to change the numbering here with you. Now I'm going to flip over to chapter number 2, and you'll notice that it is numbered 1 through 10. Okay, this is just random, or the regular old documents that we create. Chapter 3 is also numbered 1 through 7. Okay, but when I bring this into the book, I really want it to be numbered 1 through 20-something. Okay, I don't want to hand number this. All right, so first of all, let's fix this problem. So chapter 1, I have my pages panel, and I'm on page 1, and it's 1 through 5. I want page 1 to start with I, double I, and triple I, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to go to the magic menu and choose numbering and section options, and I'll choose the style as my I, double I, and triple I, wherever it is. There it is. And when I click OK, now you'll see that my numbering is I, double I, triple I, etc. But I want page 4 to actually be the first page in my document, so I want it to say number 1 at the bottom. And if you can see down to the bottom, I know I can't see my invisibles. There, I turned my invisibles off, and that is showing chapter IV down here. That's number 4. So I'm going to go to page 4. This is the important thing about setting up numbering and section options. Go to the page that you want to be a new number. So I've gone to the page. It's active, magic menu, numbering and section options, and I'm going to say I want to start the page numbering at number 1. Then I choose page numbers 1 and 2. Now watch over here on the left side when I click OK. Ready? See how page 1 goes, ooh, I'm odd. I have to go to the right. And it now is numbered as 1 and 2. So now I've got I, double I, triple I, and 1 and 2. And yes, I'd probably add in a blank page over there on the left side. So I'm going to save this. And now I'm going to go to chapter 2 and still notice that this is numbered as 1. I'm also going to go up to this, see this little triangle up here at the top? That little triangle is indicating that it's the start of a section. And if I double click on the triangle, that will open up the numbering and section options. And I'm just going to make you aware that this is automatic page numbering. That's going to come into play in just a second. All right, I'm going to click OK. And this is saved, and this is saved, chapter 3. All right, now I'm ready to make the book. File, new, oh, I already have one. Open, nope, I don't know, new book. Oh, I have one down there. It's right here. So here's my new book. And now I'm going to add in my 3 chapters. I'll click my little plus here. I'll go down to the bottom and choose these 3 chapters and click OK. And you will notice that the numbering automatically changes. I just showed you that chapter 2 started at page number 1. But it started at page number 1 because it says I'm myself. I'm just part of me, so I'm going to start at number 1. Now that it's part of a book, it's going to have the page numbering that follows the previous document. If I go to chapter 2 here and double click, you'll see down at the bottom that page number 3 is what you can see, hopefully, down here at the bottom. If I go to chapter 3 and look down here at the bottom, you will see that this says page number 13. Now, if I reorder these, I'm going to grab chapter 2 and reorder it underneath chapter 1. Look at that. You saw it changing instantly before your eyes. It's magic. And page 3, the numbers change. In the book. In the document that's sitting on your hard drive, they're just still saying, I'll be whatever you want to be. I'm automatically going to page number. So that's the cool thing about using a book file, or a file in a book. I have a shortcut sheet that I put at the end of every one of my documents, except of course this one. No, but in my printed books, I only have one shortcut sheet. And I make a book out of the document, and then I just throw that shortcut sheet at the end so I don't have to have 18 different shortcut sheets floating around at the end of every single book. I just make a quick book out of that document. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. I see my time. And now I am going to make a table of contents, because at the end of this, we're going to save this out as a PDF, which is another reason why I love to make a book, to make a PDF full of a whole bunch of different documents. Okay, so let's make a table of contents. I'm going to actually do one other thing as well here. I promise I will get you to break. James is like, let's go. Okay, one other thing I like to show with books, this style. In this style, or in this document, these 3 documents, I have a style, a paragraph style called headings. And I want this to be different in all of my documents. Can you think of your catalogs that you have that have multiple different chapters? Wouldn't it be cool to be able to change the paragraph style in one document and then synchronize that to all of the different documents in that book? Yes, for only $19.95. No. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to select this text, go to my headings, and actually I'll just do it up here. I'll use the redefined style that I was talking about earlier. I'm just going to make it way bigger and a different color. Okay, so it's just obviously different. Now that little plus is saying to headings, hey, you're different. Okay, right click and redefine the style. And now all the headings in this document, you'll have to trust me because I didn't show it to you beforehand, but all the headings in this document are now red. Okay, I'm going to save this. What document did I do this to? Chapter 3. I'm going to go to chapter 2 and look at the headings. These headings are still in their same color and black and size, but it still is called headings. Here's the coolest part about books, one of the coolest parts. If I go to my book panel and I select the chapter that is the master, or the style source is what they call it, I go over here. See how it says sets the style source? I'm going to click on this little box here to the left of chapter 3, because chapter 3 is the one that has the really cool red headings font style in it. And now I will choose synchronize book. Now synchronize book is actually going to synchronize all of these options. All the styles, all the colors, everything except master pages is going to be synchronized, and I can choose what I want. So to do this, I'm just going to either select the books that I want to synchronize, or if I click down here, nothing is highlighted. That means it's going to do it to all. I'll choose synchronize book, and look what happens in seconds. The style that I changed to pink in chapter 3 is now in chapter 1 and in chapter 2. Because the style name is called headings, I'll go up here to chapter 1, and there it is here. It's called headings, it's the exact same name, and it had the same settings to it. So I don't know about you, but I've done this with data sheets where you've got 15 different data sheets for a product, and they should all look exactly the same. So I'll make a copy backup just to make sure I don't screw them up, but I'll bring them all into a book and make sure the settings for one of those documents are perfect, and then I'll synchronize everything. There is some cleanup work here, but at least you get everything exactly the same across it. And then once I've synchronized, I dump it out of the book. I don't need it to stay in the book. I just needed the book feature to synchronize them. Okay, so that's a cool feature. The last thing that I'll do here is to make a table of contents. So I'm going to go here to chapter 3. I'm going to double click. You can double click here in the book file to go and open up different documents here as well. So here I am in chapter 3. And at the very end of chapter 3 here, I have already set up for you a TOC body and a TOC heading red. I've already set these paragraph styles up for you to make this a little bit faster. So I'm just going to click away and have nothing selected. And to make a table of contents, this is on the last page there. Excuse me. To make a table of contents, we're going to choose the layout menu and come down to table of contents. Now, this is another big, huge, scary looking box, which InDesign tries to make it smaller by cutting down really important things. So make sure that when you go into this box that you click this more options button to make it even bigger, which is really helpful. But it's going to give you more options here. So here's what we can do. So we can make a title. You don't have to, but we can make a title of this. And then we can tell that title, how are you supposed to look? Well, I'd like you to look like this TOC heading, red, bold. Then I'm going to pull in the paragraph styles that I want InDesign to go look for and then tell me what page they're on. I had a client and he says, okay, I'll get back to you in a couple days. I'm going to have my intern, honestly, this guy said this. I'm going to have my intern go through your PDF and copy the names of the products and type out what page they're on. I said, what? I made him a table of contents out of this, put it into an Excel file, and about 15 minutes later I sent him back. He goes, how did you do that? I used table of contents feature to do that. So I use table of contents not only for making a table of contents, but for making Excel files that then we can use as a reference file. Okay, so back to this. What style do I want to use? I'm going to come over here and I'm going to find my headings. Click on it, hit add. It's now over here, and this is the style that's going to be pulled and figured out what page number it's on. The entry style, how do I want it to look? Well, I'm going to choose the TOC body that I had already created. What's cool, InDesign does actually give you one. If you go in here, it'll give you one that you can apply and then modify later, but I already have one here. The page number, yes, I want the page number, and I want it to be after or before or no page number. Sometimes I just want an alphabetical list of my products, and I can do that here. So I do want the page number after the entry, and I do want a tab to be put in after the entry. I can put anything I want to. I can also sort the entries in alphabetical order. I'll say yes to that. I can have 2 or 3 or 4 different levels of these. So intricate, I'm not going to get into that, but I can have multiple levels. Down here, I want to create a PDF bookmark. Yes, please. Because when I create this Acrobat PDF, wouldn't it be cool to be able to go to the left-hand side of Acrobat and click on that little list to go to product number 1, click, and it brings you to that document page in your catalog. So yes, I do want this. And then I'm purposely not doing this one. I can do text anchors. Again, I got too little time, too much stuff. I can remove forced line breaks. How many times do we go into a heading and force the line break to the next line? You can automatically remove these. Okay, so I know I'm mixing something here or forgetting something here. I'm going to click OK and click, and you see that only the options or the numbers are pulled from pages 13 through 16. Well, that's the document that I'm on right now because I forgot to go into table of contents and say I want to include the book. So now I can say, oh yeah, go get chapters 1, 2, and 3 and bring all of those in, clicking OK, and look at how, yes, thank you, and look at how that has updated and included all of the headings from all of the documents that I've got in this book. All right, so the last thing we'll do is we are going to export this out as a PDF. I'll magic menu it and find, oh, I got to click away, because if not, I would have done just chapter 3. And I'm going to choose export book to PDF. And demo files is fine. Book 1, that's great. I'll click save. And then I want to include bookmarks and hyperlinks. See this down here at the bottom? Definitely want to include those. And I do want to view the PDF, making sure I don't have any bleeds. That's fine. I'm just going to make this smaller so I can click export, overset text. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so now I'm making the PDF, and look what shows up on the left-hand side. Because I made a table of contents, and because I have the make PDF bookmarks chosen, I can now pop on these and go to the page that I'm looking for. And the great thing is that I don't have to do this in Acrobat. And if you make a change in InDesign and you re-export, you've done that before, you re-export your PDF, you're like, okay, there's another hour worth of work that I have to redo with these bookmarks. Okay? Very, very good. All right, questions? We'll do those now. Later, break. I will stop recording. All right, actually, we'll go ahead and do a break. Excellent. All right.